As I'm sure you've seen by now, the Nashville Killers Manifesto has been leaked online by Steven Crowder over at Mug Club. So let's go ahead and talk about it. A few months ago, a deranged individual walked into a private elementary school and killed a bunch of elementary students. The killer was definitely deranged and also transgendered. I'm not saying that she killed a bunch of people because she is transgender, but I do think it might have played a little bit of a role into it. But now, thanks to Steven Crowder over at Mug Club, we have the first 3 pages of the manifesto. And because we're going to be talking about the manifesto, there is a great chance of this video being totally demonetized. So if you want to help me out, I have links down below where you can subscribe to different platforms such as Patreon or Locals, or you can just hit that membership button right there. Super chats are always welcome. So whatever you want to do, if you don't want to do anything, that's fine too. Just go ahead and like the video, and that helps me out as well. Okay, so we have the first 3 pages of the Nashville Killers manifesto, and I'm not going to be using her name because I don't think that she should be getting any notoriety. I'm also not going to show any pictures of her because her face should be nowhere. That's just my stance. That's my stance always, and I'm going to stick with it. So with the first 3 pages, we can determine what her motive is. But I do want to caveat this by saying that I have not been able to independently verify this manifesto. It looks legit to me, but I could be wrong. So take it with a grain of salt, but I do believe that it is legit. Okay, let's talk about how long she planned this for. It seemed that she was planning this since 2021, where she said she almost got caught. I am kind of wondering what she meant by that. There's no context to it, but apparently she came very close of being caught in 2021 when she was planning this. Considering the attack took place in 2023, that's 2 years of planning, and no one caught her. Shows you how well red flag laws work. It looks like, even though that she was white, she had a hatred for white people. She referred to white people as crackers and harped on white privilege. So even though she was white, it seems like she had self-hatred for the racial group that she was a part of. But it's not only white people that she hated. She hated people that has means. My kids go to a Catholic school, and this was a religious school, so she probably hates people like me, or hated people like me, since she's dead and burning in hell. So we don't have to worry about her hating me right now because she's already burning in hell. Her attack on a religious school also goes to show you that she does not like religion. So let's go over what she doesn't like. She doesn't like white people, even though she's white. She doesn't like people with means of wealth to better their kid's life because I guess she didn't have that. She also does not like religion. Now, looking at the whole entire situation, you can go ahead and look at what's being taught in schools right now. And what is being taught at schools is the eat the rich philosophy, where if you have any means of money, the schools are teaching you their Marxist ideas that the only way that they've gotten money is by exploiting other people. So this goes to show you the dangers of the Marxist teachings in public schools right now. And I'm pretty sure that's where it came from. Now, she also perpetuates the myth of white privilege. And I can tell you right now, white privilege is a myth. Looking at my situation, I didn't have the best childhood, but I worked my ass off and I got to where I was. And I didn't have any privilege to back up. I didn't have daddy's money to get me where I was. I actually worked my ass off and got there. But for some reason, she believed that everyone who is white had some type of special privilege and had some type of special advantage over everyone else, which is categorically categorically false. I don't have an advantage over other people. I didn't have an advantage over other people. I got to where I was by hard work and by trying to downplay the accomplishments of people because of their race is just racist. So she was racist against her own race. It also seems like she didn't care about the kids at all. She blamed the kids for being born. That's it. 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds, 7-year-olds, 6-year-olds, they do not have any responsibility for the situation they are brought into. They are just brought into it, but she blamed the sins of the parents, even though that they are perceived sins and probably not actually real, on the kids. And not everyone that goes to a religious private school is rich. I'm not rich, and I send my kids to a religious private school. I sacrifice a lot to send them to that private school because I don't want them going to public schools. But because her daddy didn't love her enough or whatnot, she decided to take out her rage and anger on them. The most evil part of the whole entire thing is she wanted to make sure that they weren't ready to die. She was ready to die, but she was hoping that they were not prepared. That is totally evil. She did this just to try to hurt a bunch of people that she never knew. She did this for totally evil reasons. She did this to ruin people's lives. I'm talking about the lives of the parents of the kids that were killed. I'm talking about the kids that were there that weren't killed, but is now mentally scarred for the rest of their lives because the action of this selfish, evil person that is currently burning in the pits of hell. So a lot of this stuff, like I said before, can be traced back to the school system. The school system is teaching this woke philosophy where if you are rich or have any means whatsoever, you are evil. They also teach that white people are evil by default, which is not true at all. Everyone has the capability of being evil. Everyone has the capability of being good. It depends on the actual person. It's not down to race. It's not down to a religion. It is down to the actual person. Certain people are evil. Certain people are good, no matter what race they are, no matter what religion they are, no matter if they come from money or if they are poor. A poor person can just be as evil as a rich person. A rich person can just be as good as a poor person, but that's not what is being taught at schools, and it is really sickening to me. One of the reasons why I send my kids to private schools is because the Marxist stuff that they are teaching in the schools. This is an example of extremism. The person who is mentally deranged acted in extreme violence against people because of their race and their religion. Also, their socioeconomic standing as well. The left tries to call people like me extremists because I have this libertarian philosophy of live and let live. So I'm the extremist, and you're the extremist if you're watching this video. But the people that are actually carrying out these heinous acts of violence get a pass because they are living in a fantasy world. Political correctness is literally killing us. You can't call out a person for being an evil douchebag because they are transgendered, which is terrible. Political correctness leads to the tragedies that we see in Nashville. Marxist philosophies are leading to violence. It is no surprise that violence is coming from the left, although they try to point to right-wing violence, but there's a lot more hatred on the left. And this situation that happened in Nashville shows you the end result of that hatred. Anytime you preach hatred, anytime that you preach that someone is trying to keep you down or someone is trying to take away your rights, that is when you get violence. When people are just trying to live their lives and someone tells you that those people are trying to oppress you, even though it's 8 and 9-year-old kids, that is where you get stuff that happens like this. We have to stop living in people's fantasy world. We have to call evil evil when we see it, no matter if the person is transgender or they're not transgendered. If they are evil, they need to be called out. I live in Loudoun County, which has been in the news a lot. There is a situation at the schools where there was a transgendered student that raped another student, and instead of being prosecuted, they transferred that student to a different school because they were a member of a protected class of being transgendered. And guess what happened? That student, he raped another girl in the girls' bathrooms. But the people on the left don't want you to call that out. The people on the left want you to ignore that because they have some type of special power for being transgendered. There was a student's dad, one of the girls that was raped, that got arrested, and they tried to prosecute him for yelling at someone who said that his daughter deserved it. The governor of Virginia, Governor Glenn Youngkin, pardoned that dad, and a lot of the people on the left in Loudoun County were very, very upset. Now, let me remind you, the dad never assaulted anyone. He confronted a person that called his daughter a liar, a slut, and whatever. He confronted them and yelled at them. And he had every right to do that. The person that he yelled at claimed that his daughter made everything up. Remember, this daughter was the second victim of a rapist. But since that rapist was transgendered or non-binary or whatever, the left tried to protect that person. We have to get out of this fantasy world. Does being transgendered mean that you're evil or that you're dangerous or that you're going to hurt people? Absolutely not. Does it mean that you are a woman trapped in a man's body or a man trapped in a woman's body? No, that's not the case. And there are studies to prove that. But if you want to live that way, go ahead and live that way. But you can't expect everyone to accept your make-believe lifestyle. What is good for you, that's fine. I don't care. Go ahead, do you. But by saying that everyone has to agree with you, that's something that's not good. And by saying that your depression, your anxiety, your whatnot is because of other people is also not helpful. You have to look at it from a psychological standpoint. People need help. And by saying, hey, you're fine, and everyone else is just coming down on you, that's why you have these feelings of depression and these suicidal thoughts or homicidal thoughts in this case, that's not a good thing. We have to address it. We have to get back to the hard science and the data and not care about people's feelings. Yeah, we should care about people's feelings, but not at the detriment of society, not at the detriment of their mental health. So my final question is, why didn't police want this manifesto out there? If you look at other incidents from around the country and around the world, the manifestos of killers are usually released right away. But police tried to suppress this manifesto forever. And looking at the manifesto, the only conclusion that I can come to is because they didn't want to demonize a transgendered person. They didn't want to show that anti-white people also do killings. They didn't want to show that people with a Marxist philosophy is capable of evil. And they didn't want to show that some transgendered people, like the rest of us, can be mentally deranged. They are trying to protect the wokeness that is being taught in public schools. They are trying to protect the far leftist Marxist philosophies that are being disseminated in schools. In schools, they teach that white people only get where they are because they have some type of white privilege. And they also teach that rich people are only rich because they exploited the people below them, which is not the case in most situations. But that is a philosophy that they are teaching. Martin Luther King once said that you should judge a person on the content of the character and not their skin color. But the far leftist in the public schools are teaching the exact opposite. They are teaching that skin color matters more than the content of one's character. I believe that we can all work together as a community, black, white, brown, yellow, whatever. We should be able to all work in a community together to improve our lives. But that's not the case with the leftists. They want us, as being white people, to throw ourselves at the feet of people that were never slaves and beg for their forgiveness for something that we didn't do, which I'm just not willing to do. This video might get a lot of backlash. This video might be shared by people who take what I say out of context, but that's the risk I am willing to take because it needs to be said. All right, I have a book that came out. So if you want a great read, go ahead and read the book. It would really, really help me out. And if you don't, that's fine too. But it's available on Amazon and a bunch of different retailers. So go ahead and check it out. Or request it from your library. I don't know. Do whatever. All right, guys. That's it. So stay vigilant, stay free. Keep in the fight. I love you all. You're all worth something. Keep in mind that your wealth and your internal goodness has nothing to do with people from the outside. It is who you are on the inside that matter. And no one can take that away from you. All right, guys. Wolverines, motherfucker.